Call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. I call this meeting of the Northwest Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present. We are missing Ms. Holland. That is, the meeting has been duly called and that the notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551. We will now adjourn into executive session. Thank you. Good evening and welcome. We are going to reconvene this meeting into open session. If you would, please rise for the invocation and pledge. Dr. Warren.
All right, thanks for everybody for coming tonight. If you feel comfortable doing so, please pray with me. Our dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. And Lord, just thank you for allowing us to be just a part of this school district. Please be with all of us tonight as we do your business. Be with us here, be with us going home. And Lord, more than anything else, we ask that you provide your love, your guidance, and your protection to our children. It's in your name we pray. Amen. All right. All right, folks. We have two very special guests with us tonight. Olivia, come up to the podium. Ava, come up to the podium. We have Lakeview students who are going to do our pledges tonight. Olivia, wave at everybody. Olivia Blake is a fourth grader at Lakeview. Brandon and Kim are her parents. Thanks for coming. Olivia, what's your favorite subject?
Math.
Math, good girl. I love it. Olivia says that she likes to play volleyball and she enjoys cheer. She loves to spend time with her family. She likes to read and play with her dog. Dog's name is?
Bear.
Bear. The dog's name is Bear. Miss Seltzer, Mary Seltzer, our principal at Lakeview, this is what she says about Olivia. Olivia exemplifies what it means to be a Lakeview Bobcat. She is kind and giving. Olivia makes a positive impact on all she meets. And then Mrs. Seltzer drew a happy face, which means she really meant that. So good job, Olivia. Thank you for being here. All right, Ava Rohr. Ava, wave to everybody. Fawn, Jeff, thank you for being here. Ava loves Reader's Workshop. Good job, Ava. And science, she adores her teacher. She loves riding horses. She loves going to dance class. Nice. Playing soccer and doing crafts. Ms. Seltzer says Ava is an amazing Lakeview learner. Her bright smile, let's see, oh yeah, there it is. Her bright smile and enthusiasm for learning are contagious. We are so excited to have Ava as a Bobcat. Ladies, thank you for being here. And if you want to turn to the flag and start us, we'll do the American and then the Texas pledge.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great job. Texas? Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Great job, ladies. Stay right there. We've got a little gift for you. Everybody else may be seated. Thank you.
That brings us down to item number 5, recognitions. Dr. Warren?
Oh, Board, we have all kinds of recognitions tonight. We have several groups, have several individuals. So, Mrs. Conklin, do you want to start it off?
Yes.
Please.
If you, Dr. Warren and President Schluter, could come to the front, we will start. The Northwest ISD Communications Department received 11 state awards, including a Best in Category award at the Texas School Public Relations Association Annual Star Awards Banquet. The recognition serves as the top professional honor for a school communications professional in the state. Receiving recognition this evening are Multimedia Specialist Rachel Bobbitt and Communications Coordinator Jerry Cantu.
And Communications Director, Emily Collins. Rachel. Is your daughter squeaking? I should have done that. 1, 2, 3. I thought it needed your sanity.
Okay, next I'd like to invite Associate Superintendent for Business and Operations John Graswich to the front, and the members of the Purchasing Department for receiving the TASBO Award of Merit for Purchasing Operations with recognized status. That's Mark Verschone, Krista Spearman, Brenda Davidson, Jennifer Tallman, Sandy Graves, and Dana Chandler. This award provides recognition to school districts, open enrollment charter schools, and education service centers that are committed to following professional standards in the acquisition of goods and services. This is the 6th time that Northwest ISD has been recognized by TASBO with the Award of Merit for Purchasing Operations.
Good job. Very good job.
Okay, next I'd like to invite Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Dr. Rob Thornell, to the front, as well as Executive Director for Secondary Education, Dr. Logan Ferris. A lot of work goes into the preparations for district UIL competitions, and this evening we are recognizing the coordinators for secondary UIL competitions. So for the middle school competitions, Lainey Johnson. And for high school, Ray Jean Johnson. Are you here this evening? And Stacy Pryor. Nearly 1,000 middle school and high school students competed and will compete this weekend in this year's UIL events. This event brings the entire district together for a friendly competition and would not be possible without their work. Thank you so much for your contributions. All right. And next, I'd like to ask Dr. Thornell to stay and invite Assistant Director of PE Health and Athletics, George Lukenhaus, Executive Director of Student Services, Dr. Jennifer Alexander, Executive Director of Benefits and Risk Management, Kitty Paylor, Heather Hicks from the American Heart Association, and from Beck Elementary School, the Principal Sandy Conklin, and Regan D. And we also have the art teacher, Ashley Folan, here as well. Northwest ISD is a gold-level, fit-friendly work site by the American Heart Association. Tonight, we would like to commend Mr. Lukenhaus, Dr. Alexander, and Ms. Paylor for the work they've done to make this possible. As continued support of the American Heart Association, a check for $303.80 is being presented from the Go Red T-shirt campaign, and this check is presented to Heather Hicks from the American Heart Association. In addition, we'd like to honor Beck Elementary student Regan D. for providing the artwork that was selected for the T-shirt design. Regan won a district district-wide contest for elementary students to create a design promoting heart disease awareness. All right, next I'd like to invite Executive Director of Athletics, Mr. Joel Johnson, to the front. And Mr. Lukenhaus, if you could stay up there too, you may have left, there you are. All right, the Northwest ISD Reindeer Romp 5K and 1 Mile Fun Run was held on December 10th at the Alliance Airport. This evening we'd like to recognize Tim and Marika Scrivener from Fieldhouse Fitness and Justin, who will present the district with a $17,260 check to benefit the Physical Education Department. We'd also like to invite the following sponsors who helped tremendously with this: Moritz Kia of Alliance, Rusty Sanders. The Highlands of Northlake. If you're here representing, please join us at the front. Texas Health, Fit and Wise, and Christina Carey with Hillwood Properties and Alliance Airport, and Steve Viking. And make sure you please save the date for this year's race on December 9th. All right. All right. And Dr. Thornell and Mr. Johnson, please stay at the front. We have one more group to recognize. Our Northwest High School boys basketball team has made school history. The team finished the season in the state semifinals, winning 33 games for the titles of district by district area and regional champions. This was the first season the team has ever advanced to the regional tournament. We are so proud of you for your work and achievements. When I call your name, please come to the front for a photograph. Tucker Dunn, Trey Johnson, Avery Anderson, J.P. Pavlikovic, Jordan Keys, Carson Hickman, Christian Healer, Julian Smith, Hayden Weber, Fernando Ruiz, Jay Amons, Daryl Simpson. Next we have our coaching staff, head coach Mike Hatch, and assistant coaches Travis Edwards, Sam Anderson, Ryan Russell, and Chuck Comfer. We also have the Northwest High School principal, Jason Childress, here as well. And we have our trainers, Stan Evertson and Carrie Salters, and managers Austin Havman and Jack Peterson. We need 2 lines, maybe 3. Make a window. And that concludes tonight's recognitions.
That moves us down to item number 6, which is public participation, and we've got quite a few folks here tonight that want to talk about some of our consent agenda items. So before I get into that, I'm going to read this 3-page statement. Not quite that long, but please bear with me. I'll talk as fast as I can. This is an opportunity for the public to address the Board of Trustees on any matter, whether or not it is posted on the agenda. Pursuant to Board Policies BED Legal and BED Local, the Board of Trustees may place reasonable constraints on the number, length, and frequency of presentations, so long as it does not unfairly discriminate among speakers based on their viewpoint. The Board of Trustees is not permitted to take action on or discuss any presentations made to the Board of Trustees at this time concerning an item not listed on the agenda. If a member of the public or the Board inquires about a subject for which notice has not been given, the Board may only make a statement of specific factual information or recite existing policy in response to the inquiry. 30 minutes have been allotted to hear persons who desire to make comments to the Board. Persons who wish to participate in this portion of the meeting must sign up and complete a request to speak, which many of you have, before the meeting begins and indicate their topic. The public may only speak during public participation or defer to a specific agenda item. The presentation of any member of the public is limited to 3 minutes. Delegations of more than 5 persons shall appoint 1 person to present their views before the Board. So pursuant to Board Policies BED Legal and BED Local, the Board respectfully asks speakers to refrain from mentioning by name any employee or student about whom the speaker is complaining. So with that, we'll go to the first group, which is in reference to item number D on our consent agenda. Item D is our after-school on-site care program, and I think there are more than 5 that have signed up for that. And it's item D. So I will ask the person that is the spokesman for this group to please come to the podium, state your name and address for the Board, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Denise DeBall, Director of Operations here in Texas for Alpha Best Education. I have more than 20 years of experience in the after-school space and love being a part of this strong community. On behalf of Alpha Best, we're honored to be recommended by the selection committee to provide your district's after-school programs. We have strong roots in this part of the state, including Frisco, Prosper, Wiley, and other local districts, and we're thrilled at the thought of partnering with Northwest ISD. Alpha Best is an education company that focuses exclusively on before-school, after-school, and summer enrichment. We currently offer after-school enrichment programs and summer programming across 8 districts in Texas. Alpha Best has been in operation for more than 12 years, working with approximately 26 school districts in 13 states. Our programs offer highly enriching 21st century curriculum and activities that focus on STEM, world languages, the arts, and fitness. We also place a huge focus on child safety. You can be sure your child will be safe and the children will be safe and well cared for while at Alpha Best, thanks to our strong protocols and well-trained staff. Understanding Northwest's commitment to innovative, high-quality educational experiences for students, we think that Alpha Best is the perfect partner to expand those learning opportunities into the afternoon hours. Upon award of the contract, we will begin the licensing process immediately, as well as immediately start recruiting staff and training them in this area. We're incredibly selective about who we hire, knowing that these individuals have a critical role in students' care and enrichment. We are absolutely committed to hiring as many current staff as possible, assuming they are interested, qualified, and recommended by the school leadership. We'll also begin to introduce ourselves to school principals and staff this spring, following that up with advertisement to program to families through flyers, open house nights, school websites, and more. Once the program is ready to start this summer, we'll host open house events at the schools for additional registration opportunities. Finally, we appreciate the importance of a smooth transition, and we have experience navigating the process with a sensitive and respectful approach. Thank you for your time, and again, I'd like to express Alpha Best appreciation for the committee and our excitement at the prospect of working with Northwest ISD schools, families, and students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving down to the next agenda item. Oh. Okay. Point of clarification, we do have some from Champions that would like to make statements, so if you have a spokesperson for them as well, please state your name and address for the board, and you have 3 minutes to address us.
I mean, we're all parents that our children attend Champions,
Okay.
and so we all have our concerns. So
All separate concerns.
all separate.
Whoever feels most comfortable.
Here, I'd like to give somebody who has.
Thank you. We have not had any transition whatsoever, to be honest. No one's contacted us. My child's been at Champions for the last 2 years.
I'm sorry, could you tell?
I'm sorry, my name's Kylie Hewitt. I live in Haslett, Texas. Thank you. I have 4 children myself that will be attending Northwest ISD, hopefully, if we continue to live in this district. I work in the drug and alcohol industry, which we have helped many students in this field. Y'all's number one core belief is kids come first. We've seen kids who have come into our treatment center that have started using drugs at the age of 10. So I know how important it is that kids receive good after-school care. Champions has been a leader in that care in the community. There has been no transition. No one has let us know that there is going to be a new company that will be coming in to take place. We didn't know until Champions let us know that y'all have selected someone else that would be taking place. We know nothing about. I did do my own research and found that they have some state issues that have gone on in the past. I do understand that everyone has things that have happened, but I have had issues myself in the child care industry, and I think that they have done a great job at Champions of taking care of that. Anytime that anything's come up, immediately something's been taken care of, and I know that I could speak for, if you can see here, all the parents that have shown up on behalf of Champions, what a support system that would be for the kids that go to Haslett. I've attended Haslett, Granger, and Peterson with my son. So I think that, as you can see here, all the parents that care about this program and care about the stability being most important for these children and the care that they give them, not only for the kids that do have a stable home environment, but that may not have a stable home environment, and how important that is for those kids. Thank you.
I realize my name is Jennifer Davis. My son goes to Peterson, goes to Champions. I realize there's supposed to be one person, but I don't know a lot of these parents, and they don't know me. We're new to the school. We love Northwest ISD. We love Peterson. We love Champions. My son has special needs, and it's not special needs that you can see. It's not special needs that a lot of kids, I don't know, every kid's so different. My son won't eat. It's not because he's a picky eater. It's because of his sensories. He has sensory issues. He will not eat without help. The ladies at Champions got to know my son last summer. I told them I would have to come to lunch with him every single day to make sure he ate. He had to be encouraged, because a light switch doesn't go off that I'm hungry, Mom. So I have to tell him, take every bite. I didn't have to do this last summer at Champions. I didn't have to do it last week at spring break, because these ladies take care of my son. In addition to his sensories, his touch. They don't make him do the art. It hurts him. They understand him because they want to, and because they have listened to me. Because I called them before and said, I need to know you will take care of my son, because past daycares have not. So I cannot tell you strong enough how wonderful they have been. We're all here because we didn't know. And if we would have known, we would have been here at the appropriate time before now. We wish we would have known. There's been surveys sent out. I know I sent out top-rated survey, top-rated, because I believe my son's getting the care he needs here, because that's what it's about, is the children. The children need that care. They need to feel loved. And I promise you, and if my husband was here, my son asks us every single day, do I have to go home, Mommy? I promise you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. I think do you guys all represent the same group?
We do, yes, yes.
Well,
none of us
we're
know
only
each
allowed
other.
to have one present, so I apologize for that. But we understand your voice, and we appreciate you being up here to give it to us. The program is not going away. We're looking at a different provider tonight, and we are also going to transition in for the rest of the year. So the current provider will be there for the rest of this year.
So what is the plan for next year? And honestly, I just want, my name is Jacqueline Young. My son attends Hazlitt Elementary, and I just want to, piggyback on what was already stated here. Champions is basically an extended family. When we take our kids there, we're not just dropping them off at a daycare. We're dropping them off with people that we trust.
Ma'am, I'm
people
sorry.
That understand their
I
needs.
appreciate your stance. I really do.
What we'll do, Mr. Schluter, if you guys will hang around just a second, I'll ask one of the board members to remove this item from the consent agenda so that we can discuss it again and we can go into a little bit more depth of the information. Just for your knowledge, I think as parents we all want to know more things. So if you guys will just hold tight for just a second and have a seat, and we'll take that one specifically for you guys off the consent and we'll discuss it individually.
Okay. The second consent agenda item that we want to discuss tonight is item G. That's the district-wide athletic improvements. So we had one person sign up for that. So if that person would come forward, state their name and address for the record.
My name is Chris Patton. I live in Richardson, Texas. I'm employed with Field Turf USA. Mr. Schluter, Dr. Warren, Board of Trustees, I'm here to comment on consent agenda item G, district-wide athletics improvement. The district website indicated on Monday of last week that the district intends to award to two different vendors. I recognize and acknowledge that in the great state of Texas, an entity can do business with whomever they choose to do so. My purpose is to bring to your attention that in our opinion, the board intends to spend hundreds of thousands and possibly millions of dollars more than necessary through its intended award to anyone other than Field Turf. Our bid was over $900,000 less than the next lowest competitor and over $2.2 million lower than the third lowest competitor. Those are the two that the district indicates they intend to award to. I understand that price was not the only evaluative criteria, but it was assigned the value of 50% on the score in the evaluation. Field Turf is the longest tenured business in the artificial turf industry. Field Turf installs more fields in a year than all other proposers combined. Field Turf has the strongest resume in the industry. The University of Texas, Texas A&M, Rice, Texas State, Texas Tech, TCU, Houston, UTEP, Notre Dame has 5 fields. Nebraska has 5 of our fields. Michigan and Ohio State have multiple fields. Every U.S. military service academy has multiple field turf fields. Every school in the Big Ten has a field turf field. The New England Patriots, the Atlanta Falcons, the Seattle Seahawks, the Indianapolis Colts, and I could go on. Field Turf is the most experienced installer of multi-field projects. Just in the state of Texas alone, Northeast ISD, a 9-field project. Socorro ISD, a 7-field project. Amarillo ISD, a 13-field project. The City of Midland and the City of Allen, 4-field projects. The City of Round Rock with over 700,000 square feet of contiguous turf. Field Turf was an approved bidder for this project. Field Turf provided the district with the lowest bid by a significant margin. Field Turf is the most experienced company with the strongest resume. If a $900,000 or a $2.2 million savings isn't enough to do business with us, what would it have required? Herein lies a very significant point. If the district never intended to award the bid to Field Turf, why were we included in the process? If we never had a chance to win this bid, which apparently we did not, we would much prefer to spend our valuable time and resources in more fruitful endeavors. I would request justification for the award. I also request the full bid tabs along with the documentation of the evaluation and the scoring of proposals. I thank you for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Patton. Moving down to the next item, which is item H on the NISD Stadium Scoreboard. I think there are two there. So if you would, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Neil Ayers. I live in Burleson, Texas. I represent VCR now. We were one of the two bidders on the actual proposed school board, stadium school board bid. And there were a couple of things that we just wanted to clarify to make sure that all the information was there, because we received a little bit of information last week that our bid had some discrepancies, it seemed like, on the bid sheet, and we wanted to make sure that was clear. So point number one, there's a pricing discrepancy. On the pricing tabulation page, there are two additional items related to our proposed bid. Those items total $222,000, and one of them is a $152,000 adjustment for the equipment room. The other is a $70,000 adjustment for the integration with the sound system. And I think something happened here to where they assumed that we weren't including those items. But our bid was turnkey and represented 100% provision of all the items set out in the bid packet. If these errant items are removed, but we even left in the additional $65,000 that was added as an additional warranty apparently that was necessary, our total base bid is $800,900. That's a savings of over $400,000 compared to the other proposed bid. Our alternate bid was even larger by 3 feet in height and 7 feet in width, and that represented still a savings of $332,000 for the school district. So that's point number one. We wanted to make sure that was clear. And then point number two, there's a comment on the resolution and pixel pitch that's on the actual document explaining why the decision was made. There's a note on the tabulation page that describes our pixel pitch and resolution versus the other bid. Quick clarification. The Daktronics bid, which is the other competitor, their pixel pitch is only describing their horizontal spacing and not their vertical spacing. The actual correct pitch, according to industry standard, would be 22.5 millimeter, in contrast to our 16 millimeter, and that was a big point on the actual decision. They said 15 millimeter, ours is 16 millimeter, but theirs is actually 22.5 millimeter, so I wanted to clarify that. I have a whole chart here that I was going to hand out, but there's not a lot of time for this. Our alternate bid is even larger and has even more pixels than what was proposed, and we just wanted to make sure that all the information was clear. If there's any additional questions, we'd love to clarify that. I did send several emails and phone calls for the past few days once we found this information out. So we'll be available, but I'm not sure how the next part of this process goes. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Ayers. Was there one more that wanted to comment on the school board? Is that it? Is that all the items? Okay. Okay, board members, that includes everything on public participation, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Well, again, we appreciate everyone that has made a statement and will be here tonight to represent a thought or an idea. With that, we're going to move to item number 7, the consent agenda. Dr. Warren has suggested we remove item D from that with the consent of the board.
Item D, yes, please.
Mr. Sluter, I would also like to remove G, H, and K.
Okay. Dr. Simpson, I'm sorry, has suggested removing items D, G, H, and K from the consent agenda. So we will.
Second.
Okay, we need to go ahead and vote on the consent agenda?
Yes, sir.
With those exceptions. I'll entertain a motion on that.
Oh, so moved. Yes. Or Ken moved it.
Okay, Dr. Simpson has moved to approve the consent agenda with exceptions as noted. Ms. Holland has seconded that. All those in favor? Motion carries. With the board's consent, I would like to move item X, which is to consider the items removed from the consent agenda up to this point. Do you have an objection to that, Dr. Warren?
No, sir.
Does any of the board have an objection to that? Okay. Okay, Dr. Warren, now let's talk about item D.
Okay, item D, board. This is, it's the time of year, and of course, most of the items on the consent agenda this time are the lengthy agenda that you usually don't see, are just renewal of contracts. It's that time of year that we advertise for the specific contracts that are up for renewal. And for our parents in the audience, let me go through exactly the process and the documentation for the recommendation for the after-school care. Give you a little background first. March 19th, 2012, Northwest ISD Board of Trustees awarded KU Champions, which is Champions now, the bid contract for the after-school care program for an initial period of August of 12 through July of 13, with four one-year contract extensions. There was not a previous bid. The award will expire July the 31st of this next July. So that's the reason why we're coming together now and going through this bid process. We received six responses from companies around the area, around the state for our business. Champions, Right to School, Appleton Learning Corporation, Apollo After School, Clayton Yes Program, and Alpha Best Education. We had an initial, as we normally do to look at these proposals, we had an initial evaluation done at the beginning of February. The committee reviewed and scored responses based on the published criteria and concluded that presentations were needed from the four vendors. So we had four finalists from the initial six companies, and those finalists were Alpha Best, Champions, Clayton Yes, and Right to School. We invited a committee to come in, which consisted of school administrators, campus principals, campus staff members, and parent. We have 1, 2, 3 parents also a part of the committee that actually sat in on the interviews of the four specific companies. This committee then ranked the four companies and presented the recommendation for Alpha Best Education as the recommendation from that committee. All four finalists provided very quality proposals and presentations with the committee, determining the proposal from Alpha Best providing the best value for the district and its parents and students. Here are the notes that the committee forwarded to us. Number one, the curriculum provided to the students would be at equal or even greater value than previously provided. Rates for parents will be less than what is currently being charged. The discount for NISD employees will be greater than previous discounts. The guaranteed reimbursement is larger than previously share arrangements. All presenting companies provided roughly the same amount. The transition between the companies would seem to be seamless from the district and its parents. Providers, the folks who currently work for Champions at each school will be given an opportunity to stay with the current provider and transition to the new provider. We've got a lot of local folks who work for Champions, and we want to stay true to those local staff members if they still want to be a part of our programs, part of our kids. That was one of the things that we asked all four of those companies who made the finals to be able to provide us. So we have a guarantee that our staff members, we call them our staff members, that our staff members will be able to have the transition if they desire to do so to the new company. And then just the references that we received from Frisco, Prosper, and Wiley for the recommended provider were extremely positive. So we took all that into account. First of all, we looked at the curricular board. We looked at the curricular programs. The committee truly felt, as most of them are educators themselves, and again, parents themselves that we thought that the program itself would be as good, maybe even better than what we're supplying now to the kids, that our parents would be charged less for the services provided, that we do provide an extra perk to our staff members that they get discounts on that the services provided, and that would be discounted at a greater thing. And then Mrs. Kopp actually asked a great question this last weekend about our local staff members, the local folks in our communities who have been part of the Champions program for such a long time, the after-school program for such a long time, and we were given the fact that they did say, and I believe the lady did tell us from Alpha from Alpha Best that we would take care of our own local folks in this, so that the children pretty much would not see new faces unless staff members decided not to go to work for the new company, that our children would not see new faces. So that was the recommendation, and I would recommend approval of Alpha Best Education as well.
Do we have current data that's been gathered related to Champions, to the current provider?
I'm looking for Mr. Graswich and Mark. There we go.
I'm not sure what you mean by data.
I just was curious. Do we normally gather data on the after-school care?
I don't know
Survey data, performance data.
They give me information at the end of each year of how many students they've served. They do keep a spreadsheet. They keep their revenue. That's not turned into me, but that's turned into the district. Anytime they start new programs, they do. They had a new robotics program that they started, and they present that, and they have the opportunity to take to the campuses. They share their updated curriculum, and yes, they do provide all of that. And they did, they communicate very well, and we've had a good relationship with them. And so, I don't, as far as giving data and what they do for their programs, they do respond to our needs, and they had some adjustments. I'm new, so they've been here 7 years, so in my first year in, we transitioned together, and they did communicate, and they were changing many of their programs at that time. And so they have continued to make some adjustments and add, you heard someone mention STEM. They actually had added a robotics piece that they had added also on certain campuses. Not at every campus, but it is available. So they have grown their programs and continue to communicate about that, yes.
Thank you.
Can you tell me what the transitional plan that is currently in place, what kind of communications are going to happen between the two if we approve this?
That's what we're working through. So as you heard Alphabet speak, if that were so decided, then we would have to plan that transition about how registration. As far as changing locations, there's not a recommendation to make any changes to any locations. I know that had been a concern. We offered after-school childcare to every elementary campus with the exception of one, and that is campus decision. From Seven Hills. They had, at one time, Champions they fully offered the program there, but the attendance was low, and most of the children went to Prairie View, and so it just became more of a financial decision to be able to serve the students there. So we're not looking at any changes to where the location is, or moving students, or transitioning, anything like that when we talk about transition. The transition would be employees, of course, and that transition process of those employees that are currently employed with Champions, if they did decide to move over to AlphaBest, you'd have that transition. You would have the transition of how parents are set up in a system and how they pay, and that new system and that transition piece as well. And then us getting used to just one another in that relationship. But as far as offering summer, none of that would change. When we are on holiday or having the opportunity for them to do half days and come in, they'll still work with us the same as Champions has. There wasn't a recommendation for any change there. Did that answer? I know.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
May I speak? I'm with Champions. I'm Laura Bell. I'm the regional manager for Texas.
Okay, please do.
Well, I would just like to say that Champions is willing to do whatever it takes to meet the needs of our family in the district. So whenever we provided the RFP, we thought we were going to be able to come back to the table again. So we want to stay with our families. We have a lot of families here that didn't stand up. We love Northwest. We've worked very hard to build a relationship with the community and the students in the district of Northwest. We do not want to leave. Champions will do whatever it takes to be able to stay in the district. And I do thank you for the years that we've been here. I've been here for a year and a half, and it's been a great relationship that we've had with you, the district and the community. But we do desire to stay, and we will put forth whatever effort we need to be able to stay with you and to partner with you and to continue to grow with you and to take care of our children. Thank you. Do you have any questions for me that I could answer right now about our program?
No, ma'am.
I know that one of the parents can talk for behalf of the parents. And I kind of am shocked because
Excuse me, ma'am.
I don't know. I'm Michelle Harris, and I live at 1969 Lariat.
Okay.
I'm kind of shocked. My granddaughter has been at Clara Love since kindergarten and with Champions. And I think the thing that bothers me is, okay, we'll just let Champions build up this great after-school program. We'll give them the great employees, and we'll benefit from that. We'll be the best. But hey, now we're going to change, and let's just take their employees and use them and goodbye. That just doesn't seem very ethical. I'm sorry I'm upset, but I just kind of expected better. Thank you.
If I may, I'm Angela Ferris, an Associate Area Manager with Champions. So I just wanted to talk to you. You were requesting data. In November, we did a survey to all of our parents, and 586 of our families rated that they had positive program, or they were rated in the 90 percentile for program satisfaction. This past year, as Ms. Alexander stated to us, that we did bring in a robotics program. We probably, off the top of my head, that's an area that I do oversee. We offered robotics to probably over 150 students at different campuses. That was a new product for us, but as we are growing in the STEM department, 3D printing, I don't know if you're familiar with Ozobot, Cubelets, those are all items that we are going to be bringing in. Actually, the training for our staff is going to be happening next month on that, to be bringing it here to Northwest ISD as a part of our STEM program. And that is something that we would roll into next year as well. But most importantly, I wanted you to know that we do have data on our parent satisfaction, and those results can be provided to you guys if y'all would like that.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I'm going to stop the public comment at this point in time and just see if the board members have any questions that they want to ask of anyone.
I don't have any questions, but I do know that transitioning, first of all, child care is just critical. It's a serious thing for a parent who works. And so I am concerned about the process for the selection and the transition and how to involve more parents in the review process or a pilot, or I'm just curious here as to what's possible.
Well, let me say a couple of things. First of all, especially to our lady who says she thought she expected more of us, I think you need to be very, very proud of this school board for having this kind of program. Not every school district offers these kind of after-school programs. So I hope you would recognize the commitment that this school board has to your children to provide this kind of a program. No matter who runs it, we truly care, and this board cares about them having someone there at the schools every day to take care of parents who just can't make it to school to pick up their kids when the bell rings. And we understand that parents all have different schedules, so we're very proud to provide this kind of a program. So that's number one. Dr. Simpson, number two is we went through the exact same processes that we do on this contract as we do every other. The people that we had on the committees were both staff people. Some of them were staff people and parents. One was strictly a parent that we felt would have a good voice in this. again, the criteria that we had, number one is whoever provides the program had to show us that the program itself was going to be about excellence. Number two, not having our parents pay as much as what they had been paying in the past was to me was a perk. Having our staff members having an additional perk of the discount was definitely something that we thought would be advantageous for us. And again, Mrs. Kopp asked a great question that she received from some of our staff members. What about us? What about us who've been working on that and the ability to stay with this program? Again, those four things added up for me to make this recommendation to you. I've got absolutely no issues with champions, none at all. We make these decisions yearly about who we give our businesses to, and we take these kind of things. This was a 2-month process to make sure that we've gone through each and every one of those proposals to see both, number one, is that it's going to serve our kids with excellence, and number two, is it going to be the best cost benefit for the district. And as your committee and as I recommend, the Alpha Best was the one for this year. We will let out this bid again, and everyone will be at the table again. If Alpha Best is the best at that, we're going to stick with them. If they are not, if they don't do what they've told us that we're going to do, we'll change. Again, we need the services provided to our children. That's the number one thing for us, and we take it very seriously on when we get those proposals in.
Thank you, Dr. Warren.
Mr. Sluter?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Sluter?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to move the recommendation of RFP 017-022-001-003 for after-school on-site child care program services as recommended by the administration.
A motion has been made by Mr. Fuller, seconded by Mr. Wright, to approve the after-school on-site child care program as recommended by the administration. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 5-2.
Do we have abstentions or?
No, yes, we have. Those opposed? Those opposed?
The accreditation is for the new program.
Those opposed?
Accreditation online.
Ma'am, if you want to schedule a time to come up, we will answer any of your questions for you. Absolutely.
I'd like to know what the inclusion for the special needs kids.
If you'll make a call here in the morning, we'll make an appointment for you to come see the appropriate people. We absolutely will tell you all that.
Okay. Let's take a vote again. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries 5-2.
All right, parents, thank you for we really do thank you for your participation. You are more than welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting. If you want to excuse yourself, you may do so as well.
Moving down to G, which is district-wide athletic improvements. Dr. Warren, would you like to comment on this one?
Board, on page 35 in your packet, we had 4 companies that responded to the RFP. On page 35, if you will turn to that in your packet, you will see the breakdown from Mr. Graswich on that and the memo from Mark. The recommendation is to award Hellas. It is a 2-company recommendation to award Hellas and Paragon Sports Constructors with all of our district-wide facility improvements. Mr. McClure, anything else to add? Looking at just from the comments that were made by one of the companies here, or anything from you personally?
Evening, board. Just wanted to add that, the process that we went through as described previously with the other CSP is a process where we have to take into all grading criteria. We're not allowed to open the bids and simply award the lowest bidder. We actually have to grade out each one. We had a committee of 6 that graded this out. We took special care and went through every proposal that was presented and graded them out, and that was the results of the grade out. we felt that that was the best opportunity to split the work. We did have some concern about schedule. It's a lot of work to get done in a very short amount of time, and that's why we chose to split the work between the two highest evaluated proposers.
I have just a couple of questions for clarification. Since this is not the lowest bid, these bids are coming in within the allotted amount of the bond. Is that correct?
That is correct. These are within the budget that was assigned.
Now, Mr. McClure, one of them is the lowest bid. Is that correct?
When we made the division between middle school fields and high school fields, we felt that was the appropriate place to make a division. The actual middle school fields, if you took the 4 middle school fields that are in the package, they are the lowest. That the bidder awarded those is the lowest there, but it's also the one that was scored second highest overall.
And previously, I had the question about just length and durability, and there was no difference among these companies with regard to durability.
No, not really. As far as the product that's coming in, we had an outside consultant that we hired to do the design and drawings, and so they had to meet the standard of the specifications. All of them had to, yes.
Sometimes, either last year or even this year, have visits been made to look at other fields that both companies or all 3 or 4 companies have put in over a period of time, so we could see some durability? Because I know that process changes and the surface changes over time as new technologies come in. So have we taken our time to see other things besides just the bids of themselves?
Do you want to speak to that? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Mr. Fuller, I've been to several different districts in the surrounding area and looked at all of the companies that bid, looked at all different types of turf, whether it be baseball fields, softball fields, football fields, practice fields, looked at Hellas products, looked at Paragon products, looked at Field Turf products and other companies that are also turf companies as well.
Thank you. Mr. Fuller, in addition to that, just our own personal experience within the district, we do have Field Turf product down as well as Hellas product down. And we have had issues with the Field Turf product, both at the NISD Stadium as well as Wilson. So we did have issues. Now they came and fixed it. One was a little bit more lengthy time in getting a response to come fix that. The stadium, you may remember if you were here, about 3 years after it was installed, we had to have all the white replaced. So we did have an experience there with that product. Yep.
Further discussion about item number G?
Board, we're going to stay with our recommendation for the 2 awards, one to Hellas and one to Paragon.
Mr. President.
Ms. Holland.
I'd like to move to approve CSPD 07008030111 as provide athletic improvements as recommended. Second.
A motion has been made by Ms. Holland, seconded by Ms. Kopp. Any further discussion on this item? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Board.
Thanks, Board.
Item number H, which is the NISD Stadium Scoreboard. Dr. Warren?
Board, page 41 in your packet are the discussion items for the scoreboard and the rationale for the recommendation of Daktronics. Comments? Mr. McClure, comments about anything on that?
Just likewise, same process, obviously. We had a selection committee of 7 members, evaluated. The scores came out the way they were. We really evaluated the price difference there. We felt there was some items missing, which was addressed by the gentleman tonight. Regardless of those items missing or not, that did not change the weighting on the factors that were voted in or scored. So that was it. The overall, I will say, the overall concern in general when evaluating the 2 companies is one of the companies is out of state. The major manufacturer for the board is out of state, and the other one was localized.
Is our current scoreboard a Daxtronics?
The current is the Daktronics, yes, sir.
The things that were missing in the bid, were those just not submitted with a sealed proposal?
We had a very detailed bid that outlined on one side, and the other one really it was left to us to assume. And maybe we made some assumptions that weren't accurate, but we were missing a lot of the sound equipment and things that was not detailed out and from one bid to the other. And so considering the difference of the bids, we felt that information may have been overlooked. There was also some warranty issues that weren't addressed. Mark, was there other items? I was trying to remember the warranty. The warranty equipment didn't seem.
The equipment was.
Thanks, sir.
I sat down with an employee that is very familiar with the equipment for Daktronics and runs the board for us on the football games, and we went item to item when it came to the equipment, and he had concern on things that were not addressed on one bid that were addressed on another, and that's where those numbers came about.
Yeah, this is the AMAC teacher at Northwest, and he's in charge of the actual production, and he went through it line by line. So we had our own people working on that side of it.
So is it our policy not to go back and ask, obviously, after the bids have come in for additional information? Is that correct?
Typically, we addressed on what they submitted and then went back and forth.
Other questions, board members?
So my question is, what we're seeing in our board packet has the additional information that has all of the clarifications that were missing at one point in time, or are we looking at the same amounts? I'm not clear on what I'm actually seeing in the board packet.
Gentlemen, unless you tell me differently, the board is seeing the amounts that were indicated on the proposal submitted by the companies.
Yes, there is a baseline amount with an adjusted amount is what you're seeing, the two.
Okay, so we have the adjusted amount.
Yep. The base bid, so you can simply just look at the base bid. Once again, as the gentleman submitted, he felt that there are some inaccuracies in what we felt were a comparison when we went back and looked at things that we felt were missing, that we could not find within the bid, and made adjustments to. So if you look at the top line that says base bid, those are the actual base bids. That's exactly what was submitted. The rest below that is items that we went through and couldn't find in the one bid and made some assumptions on. Yeah.
Board members?
Mr. President.
Mr. Wright.
I move to.
Mr. Wright, hold on just 1 second, please. Mrs. Hobbs, do you see any issues with the board voting on what has been presented with those assumptions?
Not as long as the evaluation criteria is consistent with what was published in the RFP. I think they're good to do that.
And gentlemen, we can certify that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Wright has made a motion. Mr. Wright has made a motion. Ms. Holland has seconded to approve the NISD Stadium School Board bid as submitted. Any further discussion on H? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. 6-1. Okay. My eyesight must be bad tonight. My apologies, Dr. Simpson.
I do have a question. Because a scoreboard is something that might be something that somebody would want to sponsor or support, is that still a part of the process after we go forward?
Joel, did you hear that question?
I can answer. Oh, okay. In the past, when we purchased the scoreboard that's there today, we actually did that through a sponsorship program with Daktronics. Since the district has decided to take on sponsorships ourselves, that's why we're purchasing this outright. We're going through some opportunities to reimburse us as we get those sponsorships, as we work through Emily's department and with John on that, but that is not a requirement of this proposal.
Thank you. I understood that the scoreboard now did have sponsorship, so that's what I needed clarification.
Yes, there still will be, but it won't be as
a different way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, interestingly enough, we had a discussion today about advertising revenue on the school board, as well as other sources, and setting up a potential sinking fund for the replacement of the school board in the future, or the payoff of this school board, however you want to view it.
Okay, moving on to consent agenda item number K. That's declaration of surplus property. Dr. Warren?
Board, page 51 and 52 in your packet relates to the surplus request. Board, anytime we do not have a use for any property that we have in the district, you have to deem it surplus before we can legally get rid of it. We have some custom-made band uniforms from Byron Nelson that were used in 2009. Usually those things, Kevin, have about a 4 or 5 year.
Which stretches to 8.
I know this one to 8, but how many do we usually, is 8?
We try to get 7 to 8.
Okay,
all our machine
outstanding.
washable uniforms. Yes.
So what we would like to do is to submit these to the Renee Bates auction firm to get the best prices for them as we can. But again, we may not do so until you certify them as surplus. That would be my recommendation.
And I just have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
And first, I think it's wonderful that we're going to be able to recoup some money on that. And I was curious just about what percent would be available. I mean, I know you have no idea, but just percentage-wise.
As far as the percentage of uniforms we're getting rid of, or the percentage of revenue we could get?
The revenue you're going to get back.
That's tough to say because we sell them as an entire lot. Somebody will come in and purchase the entire lot. We do that. We advertise that. We have pictures. We allow folks to come in and take a look at the product. And it just, all this kind of a supply and demand, it just depends. We've done this twice since I've been here. And, anything is better than nothing for uniforms. But we do have, last time I think at Northwest, those uniforms, I think like a fabric company came in and purchased those and then reused them for other purposes other than band uniforms. So we have a number of folks that could be interested, and it's tough to say, who's interested at that time and what they're going to be willing to pay.
I'm going to guess minimal. Since they have been, the fabric's been used for 8 years, and so they're not really going to work as band uniforms unless you got a B, an N, and a blue, and a black, and a lot of things like that. So it's probably going to be an alternate use, so it'd be more like a recycled material use.
Any other questions, board members? Anyone want to give a motion?
Mr. President.
Mr. Wright.
I move to approve the declaration of surplus property.
Second.
A motion has been made by Mr. Wright, seconded by Ms. Roush. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Now moving to item number 8 on the discussion action, superintendent's performance objectives. Dr. Warren.
All right, board, if you will go to page 55 and 56 in your packet, and I just want to introduce this to you this month because I want to have a really good discussion about it tonight, and then again next month when we have our already April board meeting. That's crazy. As you know, we will sit down, we will generate a lot of data as our program data, as our scores come in this spring, this summer. My expectation is that you and I will sit down and have a really good discussion about all the data. The most important data, of course, is student accountability, student academic progress. But one thing I would like you to, and I think this is going to be a change for you, but I would like you to change for me this school year. You see the operational goals that you've decided to keep for one more school year, and then we sat down during our time at the OLC. When I first came in, we had these 4 goals and targets, and then you and I developed the 7 performance objectives that we've been working on this school year. What I would like you to do is consider goal 1, 2, 3, and 4, which I call the academic goals that you've set for the school district. For myself, that's really helped me and Rob ground ourselves this school year, from the literacy goals that we have, the advanced academics, our special programs, and then just how we compare to the rest of the things. Are we being as good with our kids in all areas of academics as we can be? Those are 4 very important goals that I see moving us forward in the future. And I would like to go ahead and get our building principals and our program directors involved in these discussions now as we build the budget. We know the challenges of our budget, and we know we're going to have to start, no matter what the legislature does, we're going to have to make some horrific cuts into what we're doing. But I want to get this budget truly to wrap itself around what we feel academically will be the most important assets that this budget needs to pay for. And so having the ability to have the principals and our program directors truly involved in these discussions now, rather than waiting till the end of the summer and then doing it when we really can't affect the budget at all at that time. There is nothing, if you do this for me, if you approve these goals moving forward to next year, after you've thought about and prayed about it over this next month, there's nothing that prohibits you from adding to this after we look at the data this summer and we find something else that we need to target. There's nothing that prevents us from adding to it. I just would like to start this spring with what I think are the very vital discussions with our educators, with our educational leaders, with Rob taking the lead in that, to go ahead and say, okay, these are 4 are truly going to propel us to the excellent status that we want to make sure that we perform at. And so I just would like you to think about this. I want you to again work over these over the next month, and if I do not hear any really negative feedback, I would like to present these to you to go ahead and approve next month, and then we're really going to start some really, really deep discussions about these. And again, there will be more. We will find areas that we do need to improve in again. But I think these 4 as the basis of what we do are really a really good foundation. So that's my ask. That is my discussion. Any questions that I can answer for you?
I have a point of clarification, Dr. Warren.
Yes, sir.
As goals 5, 6, and 7, they are still going to remain on there, but they're not going to receive the emphasis that 1 through 4 do.
Well, 5, 6, and 7 are what I call our non-academic goals. Mm-hmm. So those are still my performance objectives. Those need to be, I really need them to be accomplished by the time you look at them in the summer. But I'm not saying, we know that we hopefully will not bring another long-range planning committee recommendation to you again for next year. So we probably won't have number 7. The climate, I think, and the culture is always important, so that very well may stay. And then, working together, the budget is always going to be an emphasis for us. But I just wanted, again, starting with this coming DLT, the district leadership team meeting, when we have every building principal in there, where they have our program directors, our curriculum folks, I would really like to get them started thinking now. And when we're asking those very important questions in the next month or so, and we understand what the legislature has done for us or to us, that we know here is the basis of what we need for our academic programs first before we start making any of those deep cuts that we know that we're coming. We need to get our minds wrapped around a foundational knowledge first of all, truly what the budget needs to be propped up on.
So that will be at the April 10th, the next board meeting?
Correct.
Okay.
We've been talking about these goals with the crew the whole year. I just really want them to thinking about next year. If they, you already, with Dr. Rue, you had already had the literacy program. You had already had the program on the advanced. Those were your expectations. So they already knew that. I'm the one, and with us, when we came together, we brought up the special programs. We brought up that tier 1 first quartile goal. So they really didn't have a chance to really plan for that before I got here, and so they have been scraping with what they have to obtain those goals. I think this is a great opportunity for us to really get ahead of that, especially knowing with what we've got to do with the budget.
Dr. Warren, is there in the future a possibility to combine the operational goals with the from the
There are no rules. You can do, well, you can, it has to be attainable. You know, it has to be based on data that can be measurable. How we come up with it during the time that we're going to sit together this summer, this fall, and how we craft those is completely up to us. I really do think this is a good foundational place to start with what you had done in the past, and then the two that I have brought in with me that we all agreed on.
But we're not changing priorities.
No. I believe, remember when we did when we approved our profile, when we approved all the information last, we know that there's one more year until we need to start, us together with staff and parents and community, we need to start our strategic process again to do that. So that will be all done together. This is just those priorities that we set for you to be able to evaluate me appropriately in the summer. I just would like to have those voices at the table first for next school year.
Questions, comments? Okay. Moving on to item 8B, which is possible casting of votes for the ESC Region 11 Board of Directors. You have an official ballot in front of you.
You do, Board. This is completely your pleasure. If you would like to fill that out, Jennifer will pick that up from you at the end of the meeting. If you decide you don't want to do it, you may also do that as well. Correct, Jennifer? Okay. Right.
So any further questions about that? Okay, let's move on to item number 9, reports. A is Leader in Me program report.
All right. Ms. Blackburn, Ms. Wallace, and anyone else who is going to come up and be helpers. Board, we have an exciting program going on at Seven Hills and at Prairie View, and we've asked our 2 leaders of those schools to come and tell us about that, and they have brought some helpers to be able to do that. And so we're, Ms. Wallace, please.
Well, we are definitely excited to share our Leader in Me journey with all of you. Ms. Blackburn and I did bring 2 of our leaders so that you could also hear their voice in this process. So here you have the 7 Habits tree, and this is something that you will see in every Leader in Me school. Leader in Me is an inside-out journey. It's a progression that will last several years. The tree represents, at the very bottom, you'll see the first 3 habits, and that represents independence. And then the middle of the tree represents interdependence. And then at the top of the tree, it's talking about taking care of yourself so that process continues. This year, we are working on learning the 7 habits so that it becomes so pervasive it's just part of who we are. And so modeling is just the beginning of what we have done this year at our schools.
Two of the core beliefs in a Leader in Me school are that everyone can be a leader and that change starts with me. Because of these 2 beliefs, it's not surprising that most of our work completed this year has focused on developing our teacher and staff leaders. And you can see the intensive amount of professional learning that has gone into preparing our staff to launch this program this year. Through intensive professional development, we've learned to draw on the talents of the whole school, all students and all staff members. And below you can see that the results have to date in just year 1 of implementation are quite inspiring. And if you were to ask any Covey representative if this is typical results in year 1, they would tell you no, that the Seven Hills and Prairie View Elementary actually have exceeded expectations in year 1 of implementation, primarily by hosting a symposium site visit. And that's quite significant. So we're really seeing the fruits of our labor in a relatively short amount of time. In a Leader in Me school, the habits and the habitats have a reciprocal relationship. Positive habits produce better habitats, and positive habitats produce better habits. So there must exist a culture of leadership created through school environment, through shared leadership opportunities, and leadership events. To promote a culture of leadership at Seven Hills this year, we have focused our efforts on leadership events. Leadership events are excellent opportunities for us to teach the 7 habits, to give students opportunities to apply leadership skills, and to build community and to celebrate successes. Just a few of the leadership events that we've hosted this year have been transitioning our family nights that in the past have been math nights or science nights. We've put a leadership spin on those and asked our staff to develop activities that would then help students teach the parents the 7 habits so that parents can be practicing those same things at home that their students are learning during the day. We've also asked for a shift in that 80%, 20% rule, where in the past we may have had 80% of our activities at these events being led primarily by staff and 20% led or engaged with students. Now we're seeing that shift into 80% being the students leading the activities at the campus and 20% being facilitated by the staff. To give an example of that, we have added this year leadership rallies once to 6 weeks on Fridays. At the beginning of the year, all of those leadership rallies were completely planned by our staff. In our last leadership rally on March the 10th, before we left for spring break, we had students that presented a rally on synergizing, and they themselves contacted the Eaton Drumline to ask them to come and teach our students about the importance of synergy, and said, we really need you to share how if you're not working together, the drumline doesn't sound very good, but when you're in check with each other and in lockstep with each other, it's amazing. And we thank the Eaton Drumline for coming in. Another example of that is we had in a leadership rally, our Seven Hills Choir had prepared a song teaching the 7 habits, and they wanted to sing it at a leadership event for the whole school. Our choir director was not going to be out, was going to be out. She was at a music conference, and in the picture you see there, a student kneeling on the ground directing the choir because the students said, don't worry, Miss Blackburn, we've got this. And they took control over that and led the choir in quite frankly, the best performance of their song this year. So you can see that through our leadership events, we're truly seeing our students have that opportunity to apply their leadership skills. We're building community, and we're celebrating student successes. I could go on and continue to talk about these successes, but really, nobody says it better than one of our student leaders. So I would like to invite Lily Lambert to the podium to share her leadership story with you.
Hi, my name is Lily Lambert, and I'm a 4th grade student at Seven Hills Elementary in Miss Tucker and Miss Salmon's class. I want to give you a few examples of how the 7 habits have changed me, not only at school, but at home as well. Last year I was a very shy student, but the 7 habits have helped me build confidence. Ms. Blackburn chose me to be a tour guide to present how the 7 habits help our school. Giving those tours and talking to groups of teachers and grown-ups I don't know has given me confidence and helped me with my shyness. This time last year, standing in front of the school board, giving a speech like this would have been nearly impossible for me. I guess you could say that learning the 7 habits have helped me find my voice, which is habit 8. This year, our school asked 2 students to join our PTA board. I volunteered. My friend Bergen and I are the first students to ever serve on the Seven Hills PTA board. I feel like bringing the 7 habits to school has given us new opportunities. Bergen and I have now taken over the Box Top program for our school. This has also helped me build confidence because I have to present to the PTA board, and it allows me to practice what I think is the most important habit, habit 6, to synergize. Synergizing means working together to help solve your problems. Together, Bergen and I do all the things we need to do to make the Box Top program work for our school. I also take this very important habit home with me. You see, I have a 2-year-old little brother at home, and my mom and I synergize together to make sure that the terrible 2s aren't so terrible after all. Another habit I practice at home is habit 5, to seek first to understand. My little brother has a speech problem. He gets frustrated trying to communicate with us. So I have to seek first to understand him, giving him patience and kindness so that his frustration is less to help him communicate better. Since we have become a Leader in Me school, everyone has become more respectful and kind. I think that leadership block, a time period where the school meets together, helps students respect students. I also think it helps students respect teachers. I hope my examples have shown you how the 7 habits have helped me. Thank you.
At Prairie View, we know that culture trumps strategy. So we have really been working on our school culture to make sure that every staff member and student feels pride in our school and really takes ownership in their learning. That Simon Sinek quote, "Great leaders don't blame the tools they are given, they work to sharpen them," is a great example of the pictures you see here. We have Sharpen the Saw Clubs, which was started with a student. Shelby's there in the middle under the welcome PVE sign. Shelby told me last year, "Our school's kind of boring, and I want to lead a club." And I said, "Well, what would that be?" And she said, "The color of the school club." So Shelby's job is to lead students whenever we have visitors. They decorated for Thanksgiving, Grandparents' Day. They continue, as we have more visitors coming more and more, to provide decorations and making sure that our walls look lively. And so from that, teachers decided to choose a passion. And so every Friday, 100% of our students are involved in a Sharpen the Saw activity. Kids have learned to play ukulele. They've done yoga. They've done robotics. One of the newest clubs is the Baker's Decorating Club, where they're learning how to decorate cookies. Who knew teachers could do that? And they also practice giving tours, and so leading people through the walls of our school. They really have taken ownership in our building. Sir Ken Robinson says that the key to transformation is not to standardize, but to personalize. And with Sharpen the Saw clubs, kids have really had the opportunity to personalize their learning. In addition, seeing less tardies and absences on Friday mornings has been tremendous because no one wants to miss their club time. I have with me a second grade leader. Her name is Elise Contreras, and she is also going to share her leadership experience.
Hi, my name is Elise Contreras, and I'm a second grader at Prairie View Elementary. I'm a leader in many ways. Everyone is. The Leader in Me program just helped us show and teach others that we're leaders. Last year, Prairie View was great, but this year, it's even greater. Last year, our students weren't that confident about their ideas. And if they had a great idea, they weren't confident about sharing it. But this year, every 2 minutes, a kid runs up to a teacher telling them a great idea to make our school better. The Leader in Me taught kids to put first things first and put their big rocks in front of their little rocks. So now they have more time to sharpen the saw and do what's best for their body. That's how the Leader in Me helps Prairie View so much this year. Thank you.
So then we get to the academics. We've had a tremendous impact with our academics as well. And not just in the results that we want today, but for even better results in the future. I'm going to come over to Prairie View first. This is sort of a campus-wide view. So at every Leader in Me school, you will see our wildly important goals. And the boards that you see are called scoreboards. And so there is a new level of transparency and data collection from the campus level down to the students. So what you see here is just a culmination of us as a campus trying to determine what is it that makes a difference in helping students progress year to year, and then how do we represent that visually so that any kid within 5 minutes could go up to that board and know exactly what is there. And of course, you see in the middle, when we nail our goals, our teachers and students have been very excited to show visually their successes.
To be effective, students must really learn to own the goal themselves. And so our work this year, we've been goal setting as a district and as a campus for years. That's not new. But what we've learned through the Leader in Me is that really the importance and the value for students in order to own those goals is really when you can translate a goal into action. Students have been engaged participants this year in setting their own wildly important goals. That's what a WIG is. We have developed very specific lead measures or action steps to support achievement of those wildly important goals. And so students understand the very specific tasks that will help support them reaching their ultimate goal. Then they also understand how reaching their goal and the work they do every day in class helps support their class goal. And then how when they see that their class has achieved a goal, then when it goes out to that transparency in the building of the grade level goal, then they see how their influence and their work has helped support that overall goal achievement. You can see that in these pictures, what's there is a student WIG planner and a teacher WIG planner. We have seen our teachers have to model. Everybody has wildly important goals: the campus, the grade level, the classroom, the teacher, and the students. And what we've done through this process of everyone having this wildly important goal, and then also measuring their progress and tracking their accomplishments of their lead measures to achieve their growth, what we've set is a cadence of accountability. And then students are seeing that, and teachers are seeing that the work that they are doing every single day, they see the correlation between that work and their growth and their independent growth. And what we have then is ownership of learning. By setting all of these goals and by tracking all of this progress, we really we have that cadence of accountability, and we're holding each other accountable. Students are holding students accountable. They meet with their accountability partners to check and see if they're tracking their lead measures effectively and efficiently. In the green, what you see are students tracking their attendance and their tardies, and you can see that student has been in attendance this month, and we were seeing more and more green because they're holding each other accountable. Where were you? I couldn't meet with you. You weren't on time to school today. So they have that accountability, and so we're seeing an improvement in attendance and tardies in that regard. And really, we're developing a culture of collective efficacy and self-regulated learning. And we know through research that both of those two things have the most significant effect on student achievement. There simply, honestly, isn't anything better through this process that we have seen than seeing a child move from defeat to being proud of the work that they're doing and how that connects to their growth and the growth of their whole class, and then ultimately the growth of their peers in the school. So, beginning with the end in mind, what do we want as we continue to move forward into year 2? Through the Leader in Me, we are teaching students the skills necessary to be successful in life, to truly be future ready. Our current efforts are phenomenal, and we're seeing great results and great impact on students, but we're really focused on the right now and applying the habits to our current situations. We want to continue to have that alignment and that between those public and private victories, so that these big ideas and the application of habits to daily practices are easily transferable no matter the situation or circumstance. We will further expand student leadership opportunities, increasing the audiences and forums that our students have to share their leadership and learning, such as coming to present tonight to you. And then as we further develop our goal-setting processes, we must stay in sync with our students and focus on increased ownership of the learning, because that's always a moving target. Every student's goal is different. And while we certainly celebrate our successes so far, we know and recognize the schools who have truly been successful with the Leader in Me initiative and program are those that have engaged the help of their families and the greater communities. And so we will continue to forge partnerships and engage with our parents and our community members, and engage our parents and greater community members in this process to support our continued growth. I believe I speak for Ms. Wallace and myself, and also our students and our families, that we believe that the Leader in Me is changing trajectories of our students, our campuses, and ultimately our communities. Thank you.
Nice. Guys, have any questions for our guests?
Mr. Schluter, I have a couple, and I'd like to make a couple of comments. First of all, I'd like to commend the two young ladies for coming here and speaking tonight. Thank you so much. And thank you to their families for allowing them to stay up so late on a school night. We appreciate that. Y'all did a phenomenal job, better than most adults, to get up there and speak. And also, I'd like to commend Ms. Blackburn and Ms. Wallace for bringing this program to your schools. What was the process, and y'all might have hit on that, as far as getting involved with this?
Okay. Can I say that?
I was going to turn that over to you, Dr. Thornell.
No, actually, what I would like to say is I would just like to commend both Ms. Blackburn and Ms. Wallace. This journey, at least my knowledge of it, started way back in the fall of 2015 when they approached me with this idea. I needed some support, but mostly I wanted to talk about it, and they went through it. I'd say I gave them a few hoops to jump through, if you would, for some financial support, but more than anything, I wanted to make sure they were committed and interested. And they more than convinced me of that, and they studied with their staff all last year before they ever even decided to commit to it. So that's the part of the journey that I would brag on them about, that they were very committed leaders to do that, and they found something they were passionate about it, and they studied it for a long time before they started doing it. Last summer, the staff got hit pretty hard, right?
Last summer, the first 2 days of their summer vacation were spent at Eaton High School engaging, 3 days really. The first 3 days of their summer vacation were spent in intensive training with Covey on the 7 habits and on launching leadership and what it means to be a leader in me school. And it was amazing. Both of us had high staff turnout. The only reason that I had 2 staff members absent on all 3 days is one had the flu and one was the summer school principal and couldn't be there. So,
and I'll just say that the process we always have the kids in mind, but it has changed us as educators and as human beings, building relationships with our kids, and the way we do that. It has changed us tremendously. It's not the same place. From the second parents walked in the building on Meet the Teacher Night, they knew something was different. And every single day after that has been, you just can't describe it. You just have to experience it. It's just a feeling. It's the culture. And it has just become the standard that we work around.
I believe they just invited all of you out.
We have excellent tour guides over here that would love to take you around and show you everything that we've accomplished.
Are we looking to expand this to other elementary schools?
Yes, one of the things that I personally believe strongly in, and I think that our other principals do too. We have several principals that have kind of caught the fever, if you will, but it is. We're also cautious. It's not the kind of program you just say you're going to do this. Again, these ladies were committed to wanting to do it at their campus, and I think they have some other peers that are interested, and we are continuing to explore it. So I would very much encourage, but it's not one that I would want to force compliance on. You see the time it takes as well as the commitment.
That was by far the best presentation of the night. No offense, Wright.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wright.
Any other questions or comments?
Do we request that the family have to drop kids off early before school? Is that the way I understand it? Or is it just during school hours? It's not a second time?
Yes, with the extension of the school day, when we changed the hours that we work, we just decided it's worth the first 20 minutes of the day.
Ms. Blackburn and Ms. Wallace, you have done an excellent job. And ladies, thank you for coming, and present again sometime. Thank you. Moving down to number 9B, February Financial and Investment Report. Dr. Warren.
Board, Mr. Graswich, information on our budget and financial reports begin on page 71. Mr. Graswich, any comments?
Standard monthly financial report for February. The big deal for February for us is that we basically we received most of our cash inflows, of course, in tax collections, since we're not very heavily funded by the state. And Me and Deanne finally got everything laddered out. We made our February debt service payment and invested everything that wasn't involved out into his appropriate timelines. Essentially, so what you see is we invested general funds in 5 different things, activity funds in a couple of different securities, interest and sinking funds in 2 different securities. And so this has finished out the process that we started in January to ladder things out. We also, even within, we moved money from, say, tax pool to our LIBOR accounts because we get substantially higher rates of return. So even if we weren't purchasing securities, we were rearranging within our bank accounts and our investment accounts, our own demand accounts, so to speak, to maximize our higher interest rates there as well. So we had $245 million invested, and you can see the interest rates are creeping upwards. Used to be, we were down around 25 basis points. We're now up to just under 75 basis points at 72.2. And, that's not a lot, but it is creeping up. It's going to be interesting to see the effect this has on housing. As mortgage rates go up, it's not much. I think I read something that's like $57 a month, but, that may be I just think it's going to be interesting to see. Now, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, Texas, places like that, we're going to be a lot heavier and hotter than other places, so we'll probably feel the effect much less than other places, but it will be something we're going to keep an eye on. We do have the funds balanced out now by type of security, issuer of securities. You'll see that we now have substantially 41% of our investments out to greater than 6 months, and really closer to 12, and we've rebalanced our portfolio, and we now exceed all benchmarks. The one thing I'd point out is that the Federal Reserve on the 15th of March did raise the interest rates from their new target range. Is now 0.75 to 1%, and they are indicating all except for one dissident member and a desire for further increases in interest rates, and that's why I start watching the housing market and the mortgage business. They're talking about the fact that unemployment is low enough to where they believe that their target range of 2% of inflation is sustainable. Maybe 2 years ago they were extremely worried about deflation. Now they're a little bit more worried about inflation. And the reason I'm bringing up that 2% inflation is because we're going to be bringing back to you in April and May on our board workshops, we're going to talk about compensation, and if the price of everything that we buy goes up by about 2%, we're probably going to be starting to think about doing the raise of 2% to offset that, even though we're in the midst of a severe funding crisis with the state of Texas, which we are continuing to monitor. I think they just finished the last days for submitting bills, and now the dust is going to start settling as they go forward between the House and the Senate. The financial reports are also attached, as well as the investment report itself. Be happy to answer any questions. But basically, the interest rates are going up. We're going to watch the impact on the housing market, because that affects the demographics, which affects the construction schedule and the issuance of bonds. So it's all interrelated, and we're keeping a close eye on it.
Board members? Thank you, Mr. Graswich. Item number 9C, Facilities Planning and Construction Monthly Update Report. Dr. Warren.
Board, Mr. McClure's information starts on page 108.
Sarah.
And thank goodness it is Sarah.
I heard last month that's what you prefer, so.
I didn't tell him. Good evening. Tonight I just want to give you guys an overview of the construction department and where we are today on all of our projects. On this slide you'll see just the outline of where we are on current projects, bidding out projects, and planning on projects. Here's the overview of Adams. I just want to go over where we are in construction. Currently we have 830 piers already in place out of 837, so we're pretty close to finishing up the piers. We have grade beams in area F and G are in place, and area A are complete. Next month I'll put a slide up to show you the areas. I forgot to do that this time, I'm sorry about that. But it's the athletic areas that we're closing in on. And then we have grading and liming is 80% complete on the site, and underground plumbing is 75%, and then we are about 40% on the fire lanes. So once we get those fire lanes in, we can start going up. So hopefully that'll be fairly soon. First picture is the back of the site. You can see at the front of the picture of the parking lot, the left side grade beams is the athletic area, and then the right side you'll see all the piers. This is the front picture, just to show you the grade beams on the academic wing on the left side, close to 287, as well as you can see all the piers towards the middle and the back left, which is the fine arts area of the building. Shows you one of our wonderful pours, 2 o'clock pours that we have. This is the fire lane going in. And currently we have our planning projects with the athletic improvement, the stadium scoreboard elevator, Chisholm, Hazlitt, and maintenance parking lot with Eaton, egress and ingress, and then elementary 18. This is a slide just to give you an overview of what we are planning to do for the athletic improvements. It shows you by campus the turfs as well as the tracks that we are going to be improving. I just wanted to give you this slide again. Last time I told you we were going out to bid. We did not have success in that bid, so we've included it in another bid for the bid that for out Chisholm Trail, Hazlitt, and then the maintenance parking lot. It's kind of a concrete package, so we figured that would probably help grab some more bidders, including that work into that bid that we have out currently. So as you know, this is Eaton's site. I don't know if you guys have gone to Eaton during rush hour, whether it's morning or afternoon, but it is not a fun place to be. So we have lights for the intersection of Blue Mount Road and 287. They'll be going in this summer. That will help a lot with getting traffic through those intersections. This fall, Fort Worth is hoping to start the roundabout at Eagle Boulevard and Willow Springs northbound lanes. The southbound lanes will be the existing lanes, and we are contributing to the northbound lanes to get that infrastructure in place. Next, about a year from now, they'll start on the Blue Mount and Eagle Boulevard, Blue Mount and Willow Springs roundabout. And then the winter of 2018 will be the Blue Mount Road. So just let you know, don't go around there for the next 2 years. Okay. And then 287 in the winter, they'll expand underneath the bridge when it comes to the lanes. And then last, we will be expanding Eagle Boulevard to the service road of 287. And just note that that is an ingress, not an egress drive. And just an overview of the Chisholm Trail and Hazlitt drainage, just to highlight where we are going to be improving. And then here's the maintenance. I don't think I've showed you guys this. This is our maintenance improvement parking lot. Currently, we do not have enough parking spaces in the maintenance fleet fenced-in area for all of the vehicles that we have. So we're going to be expanding the fleet parking lot as well as giving our guys employee parking. Currently, they park in the grass, dirt, wherever they can find. And so we are on the west side of our building. We're going to be adding about 55 to 60 parking spaces for those guys, as well as give a little more parking in the front for visitors and then the office ladies. Just an overview of elementary 18. We have purchased the land, and we hope to come to you guys for approval in June for this project. And then just to let you know where that is located, it's just northeast of 287, south of Bonds Ranch, and in between Harmon and 156. Any questions?
I want to add a brief comment and just recognize Sarah. The work on Willow Springs and Eagle Drive and that whole area there is, I think she spent more time at City of Fort Worth in the last month than she has in probably a year, but I don't know that. But she's down there a lot visiting with those folks. They're working with us the best they can. They intend to put the southbound lanes on a 18 bond. I think they said 18. Yeah, 2018 bond with the city package. But they're doing everything they can to help us. In fact, most recently when we were down there, they actually came out the next day and added some gravel so the buses could make turns a little bit easier. And so they've been very responsive, but she deserves a lot of credit for the work she's put into going down there. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. City of Fort Worth is a crazy place to be. Any questions for Sarah? Thank you, ma'am. Excellent presentation. Now we're going to skip 10 since we've already taken care of that. I have a friend in the audience who is a teacher at Sendera Ranch, Nicole Young, and you're a glutton of punishment, and you've probably made the most exciting meeting of the year. So thank you for hanging around with us. Board President's report, just for reminders and information. The Communities in Schools Gala is April the 1st, which is 6:30 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn in Louisville. The Inspire celebration is April the 13th at 6 p.m. at the Texas Motor Speedway. The NEF Gala is April the 22nd, also 6 p.m. at the Lucky Spur Ranch. There's an art show coming up April 24th, 26th, and 27th, 6 p.m. at the NISD Administration Building. And Northwest Reads is coming up April the 28th. A great event. If you can find a school to get to, kids will love you. That's all I have. Superintendent's report. Dr. Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Schluter. A couple of things, Board. Just an FYI, tomorrow's a big day for us. Dr. Thornell has done a great job of preparing the judges from Mr. Butt's organization, HEB, who has nominated us for Large School Award from his organization. They're going to be on campuses. They're going to be touring Northwest High School and Byron Nelson High School. So it's going to be an exciting day. We're going to show them what we're made of tomorrow. If you will remember on your calendars, March 21st, tomorrow night, is our first community bond night, Chisholm Trail Middle School at 6 p.m. Now let me give a warning first. This one got past me, and I'm sorry. We will. The last two community bond meetings will be posted as special meetings, but spring break got the best of me, and I did not get this posted. So if more than 3 want to show up, y'all need to coordinate tonight because we can't have more than 3, please, for tomorrow night. And it's at Chisholm Trail Middle School. Okay, very good. The next one will be April the 20th at Byron Nelson, and then we'll finish up on April the 27th in here in the admin building. Just for your knowledge, I have 6 meetings set up in the next 2 weeks with city councils to discuss the bond proposal. Trophy Club, Justin, Northlake, Hazlitt, Rome, and Aurora now are on my calendar, so we'll be giving those talks. And just FYI, if you are soccer fans, out of 6 soccer teams in our district, 4 have made the playoffs. So this coming Thursday, Northwest boys and girls will be playing in Wichita. It will be playing in Wichita Falls at Memorial Stadium. Eaton girls will be playing in Mineral Wells on Thursday, and then Friday night, Byron Nelson girls will be playing at Capel. So very proud of our soccer teams. And Mr. Schluter, that's all I have.